Nobody actually teaches you this before you become a football agent. You've got your license, you've got players, and you're ready to go. But there's one thing missing. When you contact football sporting directors, you always get ignored. So the reason is sporting directors are one of the most busiest people at a football club. They control the let's say the sporting project of a football club. So most often they reject a lot of emails from football agents. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you how you can contact them and you can get replies. And if you stick to it, you're going to get some joy out of it. Okay. So first of all, you have to know what is the role of a sporting director. A sporting director manages recruitment. He's in charge of the sporting project of a football club. So it's really integral to a football club. So sporting directors don't actually go looking for players. Looking for agents saying, hey, where's this agent? Let me try to search this agent so that I can get players. No, they are always looking for who can solve the problem they have. So before, at the head of a football club, the sporting director is at the head of the sporting project, and they have a system that they follow for them to be able to manage their recruitment strategy. So he's in charge of recruitment, he's in charge of transfer, he's in charge of every department under the sporting project, analysis or whatsoever, scouting, give, give info, get taken information from the sporting director. So he's a massive part, and you can imagine how busy he is. So this brings me to the situation. Your job as an agent is to bring solution to football clubs. That's when they start getting replies from you. So if you contact a sporting director, just like at the first day trying to give them a sales pitch, it's never going to work. So you have to find a way to understand their recruitment strategy and know what they're actually looking for in a player. Then those are the bits you have to start understanding. Then you go from there. But if you contact them like many people, like 90% of the agents, just spamming them with multiple emails, you're going to be the same as the other agents. You're never going to get response. So next, we're going to look at when you're about to contact a sporting director. Let's take, for example, what's your first thing as an agent, what you do. So you go to the football club, you assess the gaps in the other football club. You look at this is where recruitment, you have to learn to know how recruitment works, because as an agent there's one massive part that agents don't understand. As an agent, you also have to be almost like someone who knows how a football club functions for you to be able to give them what they need. So if we're talking about recruitment, you should be able to know how the people at the recruitment think. So let's take, for example, a club needs a left back and you have no idea about that club. You go presenting them with a winger. They're never going to respond to your messages. So what you should be actually doing, which actually works, is you take your time, research that club, go through the recruitment strategy, recruitment process, think of what actually they do as a club, what kind of profile they need. Okay, those are things, vital things are very important. That if you start learning these things regularly, you are going to see a lot of results. So you think about what they need, you think of what they do at the club, and what kind of profile always fits that club. What kind of system do they play? What has been the coach system in the past 3 years or 2 years? What if it's a new coach? Try to find out how he wants to play. Now, also you also look at details like what the sporting director, what kind of players he recruit, and where they always come from. So there are always a little bit of truth in that. So spend your time researching all this. Then the next thing, also you have to also have an idea of how they're scouting, what kind of things they do when before they bring a player to the club. He said, because I have interviewed a lot of sporting directors, CEOs, and some have different things they do. Some will say we were more focused on, is he a good human being? Because once he's a good human being, he's going to fit into our culture. I think that goes to majority of clubs these days, that they always look at when recruitment starts. They look at first the human being. They try to find a lot of information about the player, his family, and whatsoever, how they behave. You see, they check on his social media. You see a kind of player that posts a lot of things, crazy stuff on social media, all those little things. There are clubs, most of the big clubs, they want to find out all this information so that probably you don't fall out with a member of the club. So I've spoken to a lot of sporting directors and CEOs. This is very important for them. Whereas to others, it might be, well, as long as the player is a good player and is willing to learn and adapt behavior, we can always teach him our culture, all those things. We don't, if he's anything about his post, we can tell him that he's not going to do that here. But so every club has their own project. So the thing I'll tell you here after interviewing multiple people is find a way to understand how that clubs function, how the recruitment goes. So when you have an idea of all this, so I'm going to make it brief. So let's take, for example, you need a left back at the club. So when you have made your research, discover that you have a good left back, that you have a good left back to present it at a specific club. The best thing I always say is if you can travel to that club, it's always very important that you see people and have this communication face to face. I look at most of the network things I have done. I always see that the connection I have face to face it stays for so long because I saw that person eyeball to eyeball, face to face, and I can feel when that person wants to communicate, wants to do business with you. You understand? So that is very important and massive. That if you have a chance to visit, let's say the sporting director, when doing a business with the person, try to go, try to visit. That face-to-face connection is very important. Now, now before I go, I'll say how to contact them and get result because this is vital. This is vital. How to contact them and get result. I've told you that you cannot spam them. So the first way is just go watch the training session. That is very important. I tell everybody this. It looks basics, but it's very important. Just go spend time. If you're an agent, you need to sacrifice. And also you need to have this a little bit of saving somewhere, if I say, because probably let's take, for example, if you want to travel, you have to book a hotel or an Airbnb, spend time at that Airbnb, go watch training sessions, spend a week or two at that place, and then try to learn what they are trying to do. Because most often the sporting director is always at the training ground, seeing what the players are doing before, let's say, during the week, he has 1 or 2 days that he always comes around to see what they are doing there. So this is very important for you that you learn to see that person face to face. This is the best way I can advise you to network. Another way, of course, I think if you have been watching my video, you will know is through LinkedIn. But I will say face to face. If you cannot do face to face, go through LinkedIn. And then when you have also been now through a couple of LinkedIn communication with the person or face to face, now you can start doing email. Email comes then, that's when email is perfect to use. When you start already using email when someone doesn't know you, and let's take, for example, there's a lot of money involved, it's always quite hard for them to believe you, if I may say. So find a way to get in contact with them face to face, and then you can do LinkedIn, then you can finish up with email. This is the best way to contact them to get result. And stay professional and also be very, very professional because once you, let's say, contact them, let's take, for example, on a Monday, and then you don't get any response, and then on a Tuesday, you send maybe multiple emails. On a Wednesday, you do that again, then you're not being professional. So the best way is if you contact on a Monday, if they don't reply, try to follow up after 5 days, something like that. So that's how you follow up and follow up professionally. And follow up also is one key thing that I've discovered that most agents don't know. So someone to follow up, if you're following up and you add values, it even gives more. It's even more better. So what do I mean by adding value? So let's say, for example, you were trying to pitch a player to a football club and the sporting director doesn't respond. And then the next time you're pitching, probably the player had a game already. And he had a good game. Let's take, for example, he had a good game. When you're pitching that player, when you're pitching, you can be saying things like, hey, just to follow up on the email I said, I hope you saw my last email, but this is the player I was talking to you about. He put in a man of the match performance, and these are his stats, everything for the recent game. You can watch the full game if you're really interested. I'll be waiting to hear from you. Keep it professional and simple. Then just wait. That's it. Most often, when you communicate like this, it always happens. And as I said, face to face, very important when you have to build communication, when you have to build network with the sporting director. Face to face, very important. Sometimes you see me on the video, you see me on my video. I travel to Norway, Denmark, and other countries. It's not that I cannot do Zoom call, but the reason I travel there because sometimes I want to feel the connection. Is the connection right? I want to feel it, and once I feel it, then I know when I know, okay, there's something there that I can work on. But sometimes I can go and have a meeting or an interview with a sporting director. If if I don't feel the vibes, there are thousands of sporting directors, there's thousands of people. You just need to know what to do. Then there's no point for me to write back, or I can come back and I don't continue again. So I have to feel the connection, and he also has to feel it. That's how I do my own business, and most often it works because I'm not always in a position where I try to go begging sporting directors. No chance. I don't do that. So I know that it's about providing value. If you provide value, then everything is going to fall in place. One sporting director is going to answer yes or no. I mean, yes, always. So what do I mean by that? So if you're contacting a football club and you know you have done your homework, you know what they need, that's already you're trying to provide value because you're not begging them to take your players. You know that they need these services. So if you can have that in mind, then if you contact sporting director A, he doesn't respond, probably B or C will respond. So that's how the business go. But you just need to keep positive and keep moving. For once you do your job well, everything is going to fall in place. Okay. So that's it for this video. I'm Gaucho Brian, FIFA licensed agent living in Finland. So if you're looking to build your network of football clubs, I host, or I have a LinkedIn community that, not LinkedIn community, sorry. I have a Skool community that I teach agents how to network with football clubs through LinkedIn, face-to-face, Zoom, whatsoever networking process, just to place your players. I've been doing this for quite some time now. So if you're interested in building your network or in learning more, if you're even an advanced agent, we can always learn. The link is below. Join my the Skool community, and we always have live sessions every Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern European time, where you can ask your questions and get answer with also couples of multiple agents and also aspiring agents. So come join us if you're interested. But apart from that, talk to you later. Bye for now. Okay. Cheers.